Welcome to the Be Unstoppable podcast, where we bring you the voices that are shaping industries, breaking boundaries, and redefining what success truly looks like. Some people in this industry don't just navigate the game, they redefine it. They take risks, they build stars and face battles most wouldn't survive. My guest today is one of those people. You might know him as Jam or simply Jamz, but what you probably don't know is the real story behind the name. Former manager of Dutchavelli and Morrison, the man played a key role in shaping their careers. Today, he's guiding the futures of global stars like Stefflon Don, who he's in partnership with, M1, and Shemara London. But this journey hasn't been smooth. From building some of the UK's biggest rap careers and watching it all come crashing down, from standing at the cusp of success to facing moments of complete uncertainty, this is a man who's been tested in ways most of us can't imagine. In this episode, we dive into the unfiltered truth, the rise and fall of Dutchavelli, the impact of going to jail, the ruthless nature of the music industry, the pressures of commercial expectations, and what it truly takes to survive and thrive when the odds are stacked against you. This isn't just a conversation about music. It's about resilience, reinvention, and the mindset required to become truly unstoppable. We welcome to the podcast, Jam. Welcome to the Be Unstoppable podcast. And for everybody out there, remember, you have the power to choose your path in life, but always choose to be unstoppable. Jam, welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Wow, thank you, my brother. Yeah, that was dope.
It's all good. Yeah, it's all good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, man.
Yeah,
man. We're ready to go now, innit?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to jump straight in, and I want to talk about early years.
Okay.
What was life growing up for you?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your background and your home life.
Okay, so I'm the eldest child of my mother and father. I grew up in Hackney. I've got two younger brothers and I've got four half brothers and sisters, one sister. And I would say, looking back now, my home life was very, very rich with love. But then when I went outside the home, it was traumatic.
What made it traumatic?
You know, it is, yeah. You're growing up in the ends. I'm the eldest child, so I'm the guinea pig, innit?
Yeah.
So I never had no one to mentor me. And I grew up in church. Well, my mum was Jehovah's Witness, so I grew up in that world. So I was very, very naive and innocent. So I would walk out into the world with some big caring heart and people just take the piss, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't understand why. So I was one of those kind of people that just was that like the test run. Like everyone around me would be watching me and said, okay, this went wrong for Jam, that went wrong for Jam. I'm not going to be this and I'm not going to be that. So I was one of those guys, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, like they actually built me to who I am today, you know, that experience. So yeah, man.
So let's talk about music and your journey towards music. It wasn't a straight line for you.
No, it weren't. It's horrible still.
I know you started as a MC. I did my research. I know that's where you started.
Yeah, I did still.
How did it all start for you? Talk to me about how you got into music, how you fell into music. How did music come into your life?
All right, cool. So let me be quick as I can. So I had a guy called Peter Johnson and a guy called Nathan. They call him NSD. And so, you know, NSD, he produced Pound Sterling's first ever record.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is how everyone's all connected. And Peter Johnson is the guy, they used to call him Dapper P.
Yeah.
He's the one that took me to Heat FM back in the days. So this is like year 2001, 2002, that era there. Yeah, 2001. Anyway, now. And so NSD, my boy Nathan, and my best friend Jason Harris and Jason Lewis, we all used to go to Nathan's house and Nathan used to make beats on his computer. He had was it Music 2000?
So the MPC?
It was a PlayStation.
On the PlayStation.
Yeah, Music 2000.
Yeah.
And then he transferred from that to Cubase.
Yeah.
And then from Cubase to Logic. So he'll be making beats and I used to hear them all MC. And one day I was like, what? Let me write some bars. So I started writing some bars, went down there, recorded it, went back to the ends. Everyone was gassed by the tune, you know? And we started dreaming, like, let's make a video, let's do this, let's do that. And then from there, I started rolling with my boy Peter. And then Peter just took me right into the depths of the music game back then in the pirate radio era.
Yeah.
And then that's when I met like Big Obi, who's now Fat Nasty's manager, Big Nasty's manager. It was Culprit, who's also his manager. I met Waity J, and then I met Wiley, I met D Double, I met Dizzy, I met everyone through that journey there.
Yeah.
And it was Dizzy that made me stop MCing.
So what happened with Dizzy? Why you stopped MCing?
There was one rave called Bang, and Dapper went on, done his thing.
Yeah.
Then Dizzy comes on.
Yeah.
Stop that start, that get that what the crowd go crazy. And this is like way before he was on Deja.
Yeah.
No, he just started to go on Deja at the time.
Okay.
Because he started on Heat FM. I don't think they even talk about this. He actually started on Heat FM because Deja was like the elite station back then. Yeah. So he started.
That was like where you aspired to get to.
That was like Channel U back then.
Yeah.
And then so he went from Heat FM to Deja. Then he come down and done them man there, Obi and Culprit a favour to come do a show for them called In Bang. Mm-hmm. And then so he passed me the mic after he's done that. And I swear to you, I was so intimidated. I said, nah, man, my bars can't keep up. I didn't want that silent crowd after that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So after that, I said to myself, do you know what? Like, that level was so high. I'm like, what is the point of me trying to get that high? Looking back, maybe I should have tried because look at Skepta. And but yeah, man, I said, let me be behind the scenes now and start finding people to be the next Dizzy. So that's what stopped me from doing it, boy. Okay. Dizzy Rascal, boy. That was like 2001.
So Dizzy spitting some crazy bars made you say, yeah, I'm not following that.
Yeah, man. To be fair, it was more Fire Crew and Dizzy Rascal and Dwele and Wiley and Soul Solitary that made me want to be in the music business.
Yeah.
Yeah, them man there.
Yeah. That was a special time.
Oh my
Special
days.
time in UK music.
Crazy time.
Especially 21 Seconds.
Oh
and,
God.
You know, seeing the guys flying. Was it the Brits or was it Mobo Awards where they did the live performance and they flew in?
I think it was the Brits.
They kind of recreated the video on stage and they came in on wires.
And do you know what it was? Yeah, see, for me, I noticed them way before then.
Yeah.
I'm talking more when they was on Delight FM, and we was because I was in the pirate radio sector. It was more like Delight FM would clash, Deja Vu, and Heat FM. We never really used to get a look in. We was like the local brothers, and it was an amazing time, man. And that was we used to do like there was a club called Chimes in Hackney, and we used to go there, and I saw
by the roundabout,
by the roundabout. Yeah, Murder Mile.
You said it.
And bro, I swear to you, I saw Asher D perform, and I could not believe it, bro. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
These men are superstars, you know what I mean? And back then, the only superstars you knew of was like Tupac, Biggie,
They were all American.
All American.
All American.
You know what I mean? So yeah, man. Yeah, I was obsessed from them, boy.
I think
my life to it from them.
Mega was really smart in the way that he approached pulling that crew together and the uniformity of it all, with them all in levers and the Audi TT thing, and he just made it kind of aspirate. It was the first thing that we had that had that kind of aspirational energy that the Americans had, but it was ours.
Exactly. Like he was like, to me back then, anyway, because Mega's a bit older than man, but I don't want to say Diddy, but he reminded me of him at the time where, not all this stuff now, but back then, you know, when Diddy was like lit and he was rapping and he had his crew with him, like Mega Man was like our version of that. Like we all wanted to sign to him back then, boy. But yeah.
So you've been on stage. Not only did it stop you performing at that event, it stopped you performing full stop. And you said, I want to be an exec.
I want to be exec, DJ, anything to be behind the scenes. Figure it out.
And then since then, you've gone on, you've worked with a lot of people in the industry, which we'll come to. But few people kind of are able to make that transition and are able to kind of become an executive afterwards. What do you think it was that separated you from other people that thought, yeah, you know what, I'm going to go into the music industry? Most the people I came in with, they're not here anymore.
Yeah,
right?
It's true.
What separated you from everyone else?
Okay, this is going to make me sound weird, but I love music to the point where I would make everyone in the room a cup of tea just to be a part of it. Yeah. That's how much I love it.
The thing, you know what's funny? I was waiting for you to kind of say an answer like that. Because obviously we have a mutual friend, right? We have a mutual close friend. And one of the things he always says about you is, I love the fact that Jamz is such a fan of music. He's just a fan. He's such a fan.
I love it, bro. I haven't, apart from Mark, yeah, I don't know if I've met much people like him and Sin. I haven't really met anyone else really that I can see that loves this thing, love the sport.
Yeah.
And the more we're getting older, the more we just want to keep going and going and like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I love it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no ego involved in this for me. I just love music. So yeah.
So talk to me about what happened next. You become an executive.
Yeah.
How did you make that transition? What did you do? How did you get into the game?
Okay, so this was years ago now. This is like 2004, 2005. So back then the game weren't the way it is today. It's a completely different game.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, God rest his soul, my boy Biggie, Elvin, he had a cousin called Matrix, Josiah. He was one of the, up till today, probably one of the best rappers I've ever had.
Yeah.
Come across. So we're all from the same area. That's the main thing about it. And because we're all from the same area, he introduced me to the rap game.
Mm-hmm.
And when I heard him rapping, I was like, I want to be the man. I want to be your Birdman. I want to be your L.A. Reid. That's going to be my position.
Yeah.
I need to be the person that makes the world know that you are the best.
Yeah.
And I just really got behind him. So then what happened was he took me to Birmingham because London was very, very grime, garage at that time. And rap was something new. So I said, you know what? I'm going to shy away from the grime game. I'm going to go into the rap game because that's going to be a place where someone like me is going to be very important. And then I got into that field, started linking up with a guy called Luke Biggins.
Mm-hmm. Rest in peace,
Luke.
Yeah.
I linked up with
video
director.
Video director, yeah.
I linked up with Baby J.
Yeah.
Who I met through
Derby.
Who I met from oh, so you know about him, yeah? Come on, yeah. So Baby J introduced me to everybody. Yeah. So Baby J introduced me to Luke Biggins. He introduced me to a guy called Ian from Birmingham. Who else did he? There's so many people I can't even remember some of their names, you know. But basically, he took me throughout the whole industry and gave me all my contacts.
Yeah, he's a great producer. That Baby J's a really good producer that kind of understood the executive side early. So he was up and down the country and connecting people.
And it was crazy because what he was doing at that time, like he was one of the first people that I knew that had his own studio.
Yeah.
He was self-funding everything himself. Like he was like the real independent hustler in the game at the time. Yeah. Like he introduced me to Skinny Man. Okay. So all that whole rap scene, Morris Delta. Yeah. Like I met everybody. You know what I mean? And also at that time there was very, very welcoming as well. But there was a stigma against rap at that time because they were just thinking, oh, everyone sounds American. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
A lot of people rapped with American accents.
Yeah, a lot of people did at that time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just liked the challenge of building the scene with everybody that was a part of it. But unfortunately for me at that time, the artist that I was working with, he wasn't as hungry as I needed him to be. I don't know why he second-guessed himself. Yeah. Because he's amazing. But, like, I spent so much money on beats for him and everything, and he just didn't really cut nothing. So we done a few videos with him, and that was it. And we didn't get a chance to put out any projects, and then I went away. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
So we're going to talk about you going away.
Yeah.
But just before we do...
Yeah.
Do you find that...
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that with regards to artists? When you have a plan, you have a strategy, you invest in that artist, time, money, development, but the artist doesn't have the same drive or the same hunger. They say they do, but when it actually comes to doing what needs to be done, something holds them back, whether it's, you know, they don't cut the record like you just said, or they're not on their social media, or they're not doing the live performance, or whatever it is, right? I've experienced it. Yeah. I think most managers have experienced
it. It's the hardest thing in the game.
What's your thoughts on that? And what's your thoughts on how you get around something like that?
You have to be resilient, patient, and I don't want to disrespect artists, but for me as a manager, I kind of see my artists now like my child. That's the best way I can explain it. Yeah. And with you, when it's your children, you have to treat your children delicately. Sometimes you have to know when to be firm. Sometimes you have to know when to be soft. So it's about, okay, you're not willing to do this at this point. Why are you not willing to do this? What are you going through? So sometimes you end up becoming like a friend also, or a family member where you're dealing with their personal issues. Because a lot of the time, what stops a lot of the creative process for the artists, in my experience, is a lot of personal stuff. Mental health, family issues. The biggest thing for me has always been money. They go through a lot of financial issues as well. So I think you just have to be someone that can actually be there for them. Also make things happen to help facilitate it. But one thing I will say, when they're not willing to do something, they're not willing to do something. Where no matter what you want to try and do, they might not be willing to do it. So, and you just have to accept that's how the game is, you know. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna get an artist that you'll be running like a steam train, going forward, and then one day they could determine and say, "Listen, I don't want to do that no more." And then you have to be convincing them. You've had all these plans, and now you have to go away and restructure the plan again, and now get them back inside in a new plan. It's just mad, but it's the game.
But do you not feel that can be really detrimental to the artist
100%.
and their trajectory?
100%.
You and your trajectory as for your own career.
100%.
And then the overall plan that you guys have formulated together.
100%. And I think so from my experience in this country, and obviously I haven't been in America and seen how it works, but I've done a lot of research in America. And what I've noticed the difference between British artists through my research and Americans, and when I talk to my friends in America, the American artists, they have a community on their back. So when they're really rapping, it's not really based on, okay, I need to be the biggest. It's like, we need to be the biggest. So I need to be the guy that takes care of everybody. Whereas in England, apart from their immediate families, I don't really see that community pressure to be the biggest and the greatest because I've got all these people to take care of.
Yeah.
So they kind of get in a bit more of I don't want to use the word selfish, but it's more about them and the things that they care about, not necessarily the wider circle.
Feel like they're too comfortable.
100% too comfortable. And there's not the drive ain't there because there's no pressure.
Yeah.
And that's because the country that we live in, they've created a strong safety net for everybody.
Yeah.
So you know that things are provided for. So I don't have to be the biggest. I can just be the biggest in my area or to my friends or to this niche market. Whereas in America, with the American artists, like, they want to be the biggest in the state, then in the country, then they want to go to conquer the world. You know what I mean? And that's mainly because they know, all right, they've had their forefathers do it before them, where you can see what the game can do and what it can do for your people. Yeah. So that's what I think it is.
I definitely agree with that. I remember when I worked in New York.
Okay.
I think I was about 19.
Okay.
And I've said this many times, like, it was one of the pivotal points in my life because I was always trying to get into the office first. I was like, I'm going to be the first one in the office. And no matter how early I got up and got in, I was never first. And I was like, how does this work? How comes I'm not first? And after a while doing the internship, I realized that there are two guys that were homeless.
Okay.
So what they used to do is once we all left the office, they'd leave the office, they'd walk the streets for a while, get some pizza, whatever, and then they'd come back in the middle of the night and just do more work because they had nowhere to go. And it was like, well, it's safer to be in the office and for me to be here than it is for me to be sleeping on a bench or in the train station or whatever, and they could shout at the office and rare-tear. So the hunger and desire to succeed for them was so much more that they were there through the night. So it was impossible for me to be the first one in. But that's because they didn't have the same type of welfare system that we have here.
Yes.
So that safety net that you talked about didn't exist. So they were like, I have to make it because it's life or death.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Pressure.
And it was a different thing. And I think you're spot on when you say there's another level of comfort and security that we have here that doesn't exist there.
Because I don't think they're necessarily better than us at anything, but you know, pressure makes diamonds, isn't it?
Yeah,
so when you're living in high pressurized situations, it's like it's either sink or swim.
Yeah.
And when you've got love in your heart and you've got people that you need to take care of, it's like, okay, I can't sink right now because if I sink, everything sinks.
Yeah.
So that pressure drives them over there. And I think in this country, a lot of artists, that pressure's not necessarily there for them.
Yeah.
So they're just really, a lot of them, I feel like, are getting there based on a lot of talent. Obviously, they all got hard work too. Let's not deny their hard work. But for that attitude of, I can't be bothered to do this, or I don't want to do this no more, I don't want to do that. I think in America, they more get to that point where when they've got the accolades there to
Yeah,
support
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And then now you might see a little change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause I always give artists the Rihanna conversation, and I say to them, look, guys, man, like you don't have to write that record because the biggest artist in our genre, who's now become a billionaire, didn't write anything really. You know what I mean? But she just made sure she turned up every time and she delivered every time. You know what I mean? To the point where now she's got 80 million plus monthly listeners on Spotify. She hasn't dropped an album in nearly 10 years.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And she's just selling billions of pounds worth of makeup. And,
Yep.
you know what I mean? Because she put that work in.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, and it's the same probably in the Caribbean as well and in Africa as well. But I think in Europe and in the UK it's a bit different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'd
So,
agree. I'd
yeah.
agree. So let's talk about building careers.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
Dutchavelli, Morrison,
Yeah.
Imani at one point, M1. Each of these artists had their own unique style, challenges.
Yeah.
What was it like managing them, and what did you learn from those experiences working with them?
Okay. Let me think. Who's the best one to start with? Let's start with Dutch. Dutch is the most hungriest artist I've ever met. Hungry. That guy will go out there and do whatever he can to pay for a studio session.
Yeah.
He'll do whatever he can to pay for a music video. He'll go to every event to network. Like, he's the only other artist that I've met that's like me in a sense where I don't know what it is, but he feels like he's got this pressure to succeed.
You think that that's a pressure that comes from being the sibling of Steph and what she managed to go and achieve?
Probably, I'm not sure. Yes and no. Yes, because they come from. He was the first before her, but then because he's going in and out of prison, she went first.
Yeah.
So he was the first, and I would say that she probably learned a lot of skills from him.
Yeah.
Also probably because he's the man as well, but also because of their background. Because what I've noticed about coming from our environments, no matter how much money you get, you can't really ever be overly comfortable.
Yeah.
And also, you could have, let's say you made 10 million as an artist in his position, for example, because he comes from a real impoverished family, like back in Jamaica.
Yeah.
He's probably thinking, I need to make 100 million.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is I can. So even though my sister's who she is, I still need to take on my responsibility of being the man in the house and providing for things as well. Do you know what I mean? And it's a different mindset that men have sometimes as men. So that's kind of where I resonated with him. You know what I mean? Where I could like, okay, so you're actually a carer and you want to be the greatest. You know what I mean? So yeah, so Dutch, yeah, he's amazing. With him also though, the main issue I had with him was that it was very hard to direct him. He had his own vision, so you had to keep up with him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And help facilitate it. And then you had to convince him and say, all right, cool, this is how I'm going to take you from here to here. And it had to 100% make sense because he was very tunnel visioned. So once we got to that stage where he could see, do you know what? Jam knows that this is how I'm going to go from having one of the hottest records into the country to being global. Then we trust him and let's go to work. And I'll be honest with you, it weren't just me as well. It was me, Cash, my brother, Cash as well. Cash was so important. Like, Cash done, I would say, at least 60% of the work.
Who's Cash for the listeners that don't
So Cash
know?
is someone that me and my brother managed Dutch with.
Yeah.
And he will be at every studio session with Dutch.
Yeah.
Every video shoot. In the studio, helping him pick beats with me also. Shopping to buy the clothes, to make sure the outfits look good. It was a proper team effort with Dutch, you know what I mean? And yeah, man, it's just sad how it turned out. Morrison now, we kind of picked up Morrison after he kind of built himself. And then it was more about, with Morrison, all right, cool, let's direct the music. Let's pick this record. This is the record that we need to go with. Let's facilitate who's the director we're going to use. All right, this is the vision for the record. This is where we're going to position it within the culture. And mainly about how to deal with the label. Because with these artists as well, they don't really know how to deal with the record companies. So they needed someone that will come in and help them navigate that system as well.
Yeah.
And I'm quite good at communicating with people from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can talk to people from the roads because I've lived that life myself.
Yeah.
But then I can also talk to people in the corporate world as well.
Yeah.
And have cool conversations. So that was really my role with Morrison. M1 now, it's about turning him into the next Metro Boomin. So we're getting there slowly, but like him producing beats for everybody, that's mainly him. You know what I mean? We come in as well and help facilitate some songs as well, but that's all mainly him because his brand's so big, everyone comes to him. So it's now about, okay, we need to help you get DJing. We need to make an album with you. How do we make sure that we turn the M1 brand into a major global brand? And it is a bit difficult with producers as well, especially in the UK, because producers ain't really respected over here.
Yeah.
So it's a bit more of a longer journey with M1. But yeah, that's what it is really. And Imani, that was a very short-lived stint with us. You know what I mean? We didn't even get a chance to put out a record with her. We had such a big plan for her. And that's another thing when it goes back to your previous question about how does it go when they change the plan.
Yeah.
With her, like, she was going to be our version of Rihanna.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because of what happened with me, that situation ended, you know what I mean? Which is sad.
And what happened with you?
I went away, innit?
So let's talk about that.
Man,
Let's talk about that. So you've taken a couple of holidays during your career, and those holidays at the time were at the behest of Her Majesty.
Yes.
So you went to jail.
Yeah, I went to jail, yeah.
You've been very open about your time in jail.
Yeah.
How did that experience impact your perspective and impact your life and impact your business?
Okay, impact my perspective. Let's get that one. It made me more resilient and it made me way more determined because I feel like I am not where I needed to be. So I need to use this time to plan and go back out. So, and it also made me fall in love with music more. It's just very, very strange because while I'm in there, I'm watching everything happening in the market. Like, before I go away, I'll be around everybody. We all be at the similar position. And then I'll go away and then I'll just watch everyone go boom. And I'm like, oh my God, the dream I had in 2001 is actually happening now.
Yeah.
I need to get back out and go back and go again. My personal life, it's ruined it. Yeah, it's ruined it. It's built it in certain ways, but I would say it's actually ruined it. A lot of my relationships.
In what way?
It's ruined relationships with my close friends. Like, I had a very strong community of people that I was around, and I'll go away. They've moved on with their lives, living their lives, and then when I get out, I'm chasing my tail again. Yeah. So I'll come out. I have to fix up things that I've lost out on, and try and get myself back to that position. So I'm not around to nurture certain relationships that I had. And some people may even feel like, oh, Jam doesn't fuck with me, but it's not that. It's just because I'm 41 now, but technically I'm still 31 because I've lost nearly a decade of my life.
Yeah.
And
from a few different stints.
For a few different stints. And it's like, I'm now chasing all those years that I've lost. Yeah. So I haven't had the time to be around people. And what's the other one you said as well?
And how it affected your business.
Okay. I believe if I've never went to prison, I'll probably have one of the biggest labels in the country right now. So it has affected my business majorly. However, I just believe that God's put me on my path, innit? Yeah. Everyone's path's different. Yeah. And I think what happened with everybody else in the market is great for them. And my time's going to come, God willing.
And how does going to jail affect your business? Like, when you come back out, does that put obstacles in your way? Does it change the way that the industry interacts with you? How does that affect your business?
People don't want to. It affects it in a major way. People that you was once in conversations with don't really want to answer the phone because they feel like you've got a dirty name. Artists run away from you because they feel like, oh, you've got a dirty name. People are in their ear, so you lose a lot. And what it does as well is it makes you know who's actually really with you in the market. Yeah. So I'm kind of happy now because I actually know, all right, this is the group of people that reign, whatever. They're always going to be with me, you know what I mean? And they want to see the best for me. Yeah. And so you kind of see the real from the fake. And don't get me wrong, I don't even want to say the word fake, because that's a bit insulting. But it's business. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So now I know who's who, and how to utilize people in the right way, and just don't take things personal.
Yeah.
But it does slow you down. You know what I mean? But at the same time as well, because we're making hip hop, you go away sometimes and you meet some really talented people in there. Do you know what I mean? Rappers,
Yeah.
budding entrepreneurs. Because some of the best entrepreneurs I've met in the music business, I actually met them in prison.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? And
there are a few of those stories, to be fair. We've interviewed, we spoke about jail with Mark Henry. He said it was the best thing that happened to him.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
In terms of the way it changed his life, how it helped him in terms of finding his wife and so on and so forth. But even in my own journey, meeting people in the music industry that have had sentences for various different things, and they have managed to cultivate certain skills while in jail. They've done courses in jail, and they've come out with a whole new mindset.
Yeah.
And then they've had the opportunity. How do you feel you were able to get an opportunity to succeed once you came out of jail? Because, like you said, it can be a negative.
Yeah.
But how were you able to turn that into a positive and continue to get opportunities, continue to work with good talent, and continue to be able to engage with people that are at a high level within the industry?
The main reason is networking. Because prison, unfortunately, on a ground level, is one of the most powerfulest tools to network. Because I've met people up and down the country. Like, there's no city in this country that I can't call someone in now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And because of those networks I've got now, I'm very resourceful in this, especially when it comes to new acts. Because when you're a hot artist, the whole world comes to you. But when you're trying to build an artist, if you need something happening in Birmingham, but you're from South London, you might not know no one in Birmingham. Yeah. But because I've been in prison, I know very credible people in Birmingham, so I can make things happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and also planning. Because when you're living outside, you can't really plan. Well, you can, but it's very hard because you're chasing your tail all the time when you're living in the real world.
Pay your rent, your mortgage, car,
there's so much things going on.
Kids.
Prison, your life's on pause. Yeah. So when your life's on pause now, because I'm not a person that gets bored. I don't really get bored. So when I'm in prison, I'm writing down, I'm reading, I'm writing, I'm watching things. And that's when I kind of made a plan for Dutch. I made a plan for my company. I made a plan for how I feel the culture needs to be pushed forward. So that's what prison done for me in a positive way, you know what I mean? So yeah, man.
But do you think that's unique for someone to think that way and to take what would be quite a negative situation in most people's minds and turn that into something positive by saying, actually, I can use this as downtime to plan the rest of my life and to plan business opportunities?
Yeah.
Like, most people think sitting in a cell, I assume, crying, going, I just want to go home. But you're sitting writing your world domination plan. Like, that's a different mindset.
Do you know what it is? Most people go to prison, I've noticed, and they get educated, or they go to the gym. They all do something that's a bit positive.
Yeah.
My version of that is, I didn't really go gym. I could have done education, but when you've got this entertainment world's form of education, unless you're outside dealing with the digital world, it's very hard to get learn something that can bypass this game that we're in. So my form of education in jail is planning, you know what I mean? Researching, studying people, like, for example, I knew that rap was going to dominate this country because of prison.
Yeah.
Only because the ghetto experience is, it's nationwide. It's not a colour thing. And prison taught me that because I've met different people from all over the country that have had similar upbringings to me. There was Asian, there was white, you know what I mean? There was all different colours and creeds of people, different religions. It wasn't about religion either. There was rich Muslims, there was poor Muslims, there was rich Christians, there was poor Christians. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's all different kinds of people. And what I realised when I'm in prison is like, okay, so you're going through the same thing that I'm going through. And the next thing of that was the amount of people that I saw coming to visit these people in prison. I'm seeing educated people. I'm seeing grungy, different kind of people. So I'm saying, okay, so this experience doesn't just affect people that are living in the roads. There's people that love them, that are working people, that go to university, that, you know what I mean? So I could see back in 2009, 2010, when it was a bit poppy at the time, that street rap and street music and that experience is going to take over. It's just a matter of time. So yeah, man, that's what prison taught me. It educated me in that way, so I can come out and be prepared for what's about to come next.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And how to make sure that it can travel to different parts of the world and different groups of people.
Do you have regrets about that experience?
I could, sometimes I do, but then at the same time, I feel like, well, if I didn't go there, would I be the person I am today?
Yeah.
So the loss, but I feel like you can't really dwell on loss all the time, because losses are lessons as well. But sometimes when your life's not where you want it to be, you could look back on those losses and say, oh, if I didn't do this, I wouldn't be here. But would I have this mind that I have right now? I'd die. You know what I mean?
I can't lie, Jamz. You got a bit of an unstoppable mindset going on there.
You think so?
Yeah, I can't lie.
No.
I can't lie. I can't lie. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm always saying it's impossible for me to lose because I always learn, which means that I'm winning.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I never lose. I only win.
Okay.
I'm a winner. That's it.
Yeah.
And you know, I throw away my second place medals because I'm like, well, I'm not going to celebrate being a runner-up.
Yes.
But I've still won because I've learned
how to win the next time.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right? So that's the kind of mentality that you're giving me right now. And I'm like, that is such an unstoppable mindset that, you know, taking something that most people would deem to be a negative and you're like, no, well, okay, yeah, I've lost some time, but would I even be who I am today if I didn't go through those experiences? That's incredibly optimistic, incredibly forward thinking.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know, maybe a little bit philosophical as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to say that.
Thank you, brother.
So you said you were planning how to make Dutchavelli a star while you're in jail. I want to touch on that because I remember watching the rise and rise of Dutch, and I was like, at that point, I didn't know you. Yeah. And I was like, this is insane. And our mutual friend was like, yeah, that's my friend. He's doing this and da-da-da. And I was like, yo, the way that they're navigating this is insane. Could you tell us a little bit about what that plan was?
Yeah.
How you executed it and how you got it to that level where he was just that guy that every girl wanted to be with, that every guy wanted to be next to, like, and everybody was just banging his music. What was the plan? What was the strategy? How did you make that happen?
Okay. The answer to that is teamwork. It's very, very simple. I am not the smartest man, but what I always want to do is put a team together that is full of people that are way smarter than me. Yeah. I give them my idea and then they say, all right, if you really want to do this, this is how you can do it. Yeah. So that's what we did. So bearing in mind, I planned Dutch's plan when I was in jail. Yeah. My brother and him and Cash started to execute the plan. They fell out. Cash continued, Dutch continued. Me and my brother fell back. We still helped him. He used a lot of our resources. He kept going. And then he went on his own. I think Cash kind of went away for a bit, was doing his own thing. Dutch was on his own solo. And then he's met Fox, who he met through Cash.
And who is Fox?
Fox is one of the other managers that used to manage. He rest in peace, who lost his life. Yeah. And then me and Fox met some other guy called Sook, and then they done their thing. They made a record called Only If You Knew. Yeah. At this time, Dutch come to me before he's gone and done the movie with them. He's like, look, Jam, I think me and you should get back in, man. And I was like to him, look, Dutch, we've gone, because I knew, Dutch was such a hard negotiator, you know, when it comes to business. He's the hardest, oh my God. He looked at his sister's deal and he was like, nah, man, that's the only deal I'm doing. If it's not that deal, no one ain't giving me no other deal. And I was like, bro, man, but that's different though, you know what I mean? But yeah, so he done, he come to me and I said to him, do you know what, bro, go and do your thing with them guys. I'm here to support you, I'm my little brother. You know, I got mad love for you, you know what I mean? And I was just focused on what I was doing. I was doing M1 at the time, OFB. I was just focusing on that. And then they done the record Only If You Knew. And I'm like, oh my God, this is moving. Yeah. I don't know if you lot can see what's going on, but I'm a data man, innit? So I'm looking at the data and I'm like, this is doing 100,000 views a day. This time, I wasn't even caring about streams. You know what I mean? I didn't know the game about streaming at the time. Everyone's just focused on YouTube. Yeah. I'm like, this is doing 100,000 a day. I'm like, raw. This has done a million views, sorry, in 10 days. This song is really moving. And then he's phoning me all the time to come link him. So I'm linking him and we're rolling. And then I'm seeing that his situation ain't as solid as it should be in his team.
Mm.
Now, bearing in mind, we done the first moves with him to get his career going. Give him all the links that we had, our resources.
Yeah.
He's gone on that video. He done it with Kevin Hudson. We's the one that put him in contact with Kevin Hudson.
Yeah.
So the people that he had around him, they didn't have the industry resources, but they had the ground resources.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, now, so it was a great team potentially at the time. So I've come in and I've said, look, guys, let's all work together. For the worst of it now, looking back, the team split. But I couldn't split from him because, remember, I've put into this guy.
Yeah.
I had a vision. I planned his career from 2016.
Yeah.
It's about to move now.
Yeah.
If someone doesn't come involved and navigate this ship, this could potentially crash.
Mm-hmm.
So someone needs to come involved and help him navigate and steer the ship with him. So me and Cash got back together. We say, look, Cash, let's go back and do this again. He's like, yeah. I said, yeah, my mic is going to come in. We got a guy called Ratty. He's going to help. He's going to walk us into the buildings, make things happen.
And Ratty used to work with Steph, right?
Yeah.
So he had those relationships.
He had those
already.
relationships.
Yeah.
He's got the Americans.
Yeah.
Here's the team.
Yeah.
I wanted Fox was there as well. He's got the streets. So I'm like, this team's going to be unstoppable. I wanted Sook to be involved as well because he brought the Asian community and his street connections as well. We would have been unstoppable. But between him and Sook, they fell out. All right, cool. Okay. So then we're going forward now. We do a next record. We did Surely. I didn't want it to drop it the way he dropped it, but he was impatient. He's like, look, I need to drop it now. I need to drop it now. Because we were negotiating with the label at the time and they weren't offering the money that he wanted.
Mm.
I didn't really want it to do a label deal. I wanted to stay independent, but I could see that he needed money. His mind was, I need to get as much money. I was like, no, Dutch, we don't need to do that. Get something that you can live on so they can invest into you.
So he wanted a big advance.
Oh, he wanted £1 million.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, Dutch, don't do that. Don't do that. This is business. You don't take on 10 bricks in the streets when you ain't built a line yet. Let's go and build a line. We take something so you can go away and build your line. Anyway, so we dropped Surely. 400,000 views in a day. At that time was great numbers. No ads, no nothing. Just straight views. We're like, wow, well, we already did it. Remember, the first record, it done 118 in a day. Big promo, everything. This one, no promo, no nothing.
Yeah.
400,000 views because the last record's going crazy.
Yeah.
All right, label come in. Here's the right money. Before we sat, we went to all the different labels. And I'm looking at all the labels and I'm like, all right, you lot are cool. Who's on your roster? And then I'm like, Then I looked at the team and I'm like, okay, I need a team that kind of understands me and our people because we're all street guys.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys are going to know how to handle us. You can handle me individually, but the people that I'm going to be bringing into the room with you, these guys are goons. How are we going to... I can deal with them, but can you? Then we went to Parlophone through Sian Anderson. Now, Sian Anderson's from Lewisham. She's grown up in the corporate world and she's gone from Lewisham. So she knows both worlds.
Yeah, yeah.
So from meeting Sian, I was like, okay, you get us. Navigate us into these rooms. She took us to Parlophone for our second meeting with Ratty. Because we had the first meeting with Ratty, then we done our second meeting, and after that second meeting, I met the team. We explained to them the vision, because me and Dutch and Cash and Michael, we spoke about the vision initially about going international.
Yeah.
We have our own label at the end of the deal, but obviously at that time they didn't really believe in giving managers their own labels unless you sold a gazillion records.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is the vision. We need to go international. We want to do Europe first, and then we want to go to America. They was like, yeah. You know what labels do? They give you all the yes talk just to get you to sign a signature. But because we had Sian with us, and some guy called Mike, big up Mike, I love Mike, who I met after through Sian, and I didn't even know. It was Mike that actually told Parlophone, you need to go get Dutch. And because Sian knew Dutch previously, bang, that came in. And then the rest is history. They knew exactly what we wanted to do. So we all kind of collectively combined resources. So it was me, Cash, Micah, Ratty, Sian, Mike, Kamali, Kosi, the whole of us as a team.
Yeah.
And in that moment, that's when I knew this is what Americans did where you could be from our world, like me, walk into a building, there's a group of people that are just like you, they understand the vision, and you can build a company together. But it was done through the artist still, not as a company. And that was the only thing that we didn't really have, which we should have had.
Yeah.
But it was a bit early, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. And the plan that I wrote in jail, we started to execute it. You know what I mean? Started to execute it. The first record we done before we done the deal was a record with a German artist and Noisy. Then we done the deal, and then that was when it kind of proved to them, look, Europe's the way forward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So your plan was, I want to attack Europe and then go into America.
Yeah, we have to be the king of Europe.
Yeah.
If you're the king of Europe, you've got the world.
I think I've heard you say before, I wanted to look at, and I've said this as well, which is why I was like, we get on.
Yeah.
I wanted to look at Europe like the United States of America. So
Yes.
each country was like a separate state.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because I remember when I was banged up with a geezer that was from Europe, and from America, and he told me that America has 52 countries. You know what I mean? Or 50 countries. I can't remember.
50 states.
50 states, yeah.
Which is
50
like
countries.
a mini England.
Mini England's, yeah. So when he said that to me, I was like, yeah. He goes, yeah, man, you can go platinum in one state. And I was like, how? He goes, yeah, don't you know we got all these people over there? And I was like, okay. And that's when it hit me, you know what I mean? So yeah, that was what it was. But it was a team, bro. Team effort. You know what I mean?
So you're riding the crest of the wave.
Yeah.
You've got this deal going on at Parlophone.
Yeah.
Dutch is killing it Europe wide.
Yeah.
He's on top. Hottest rapper in the country, hands down.
Yeah.
Then it all changes overnight. What happened?
One of the worst days of my career. Worst day of my career. Basically, he got snaked. Because the people that he brought onto the team, that was his people, outside of his real people, which is me, my brother, Cash, that proper know him. He's brought these other guys on. We've trusted them to give them a role, thinking everything's fine. When Fox gets killed, God rest his soul, that's opened up a whole new energy that we didn't understand what was going on. And
what was the energy?
Hate, people demanding money from him.
Okay.
People plotting on him and we don't even know.
Yeah.
And jealousy over relationships that he's got with certain people in his family. And people also going around his Fox's family and twisting up things to make us look like we're the problem for Fox, his death, when it's not true, that we had something to do with it. And once that's happened, I woke up one day and someone woke me up. They said to me, Jam, go on Dutch's Instagram. Someone's in his Instagram. Bearing in mind, I had his Instagram on my phone at the time. But it wasn't just me that had his Instagram. Some of Fox's family members that was once part of the team, they also had his Instagram. Okay. But you see, at that time, we was so busy. I didn't pre that they still had access to the Instagram because we thought that they wasn't in it no more. And we're not also preing that this energy's coming. It's only when I'm looking back now and I can see, okay, this was happening, but I wasn't focused on that because, remember, I've got the hottest rapper in the country. I'm trying to make sure that this guy becomes Drake now.
Yeah, you're trying to capitalize.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm navigating him, you know what I mean? Keep his head right. And then, so, yeah, that happened. And then from there, it just went downhill. And trying to navigate, because what people don't understand is, a lot of people say, oh, you should just come out and talk on these things. But I'm like, you don't understand the position that he was in at that time. And I say this to people, there's a lot of rappers, I'm not going to name their names, that have had ism and schisms in the lower level of the market, where people are saying, oh, this has happened and that has happened. And they don't really talk about it. They satisfy it from that level. But at that time, I'm not thinking, go out there, Dutch, go and speak on the situation straight away, put it to bed, because I'm not wanting him to do that, because I don't want him to put a light on everything right now, because it wasn't really public knowledge. And then when it went on the Shadeborough, that's when it just went crazy, bro.
So those were the allegations around, like,
all the strippiness,
essentially paedophilia, right? Yeah. And I think he's come out and said there's been a whole, investigation around Met Police have got involved and looked at it, and he's been cleared of everything and all the rest of it. But those were the rumors and the allegations that went on the Shadeborough.
And it's so crazy. There was never an allegation from any victim.
Yeah.
It was, we leak a message, a group of messages from a whole group of people. The public can start this allegation, rumor, or what they've seen.
Yeah.
And say, okay, we've seen this. This is what's happened. And then the train just went running.
So do you feel that was a trial by social media?
I would say that was the first in my time that I've seen trial and execution by social media without no witnesses, no accusation formally, no formal accusations, no one. Oh, he's done this to me. Putting it no, it was just the public.
And do you feel like he's ever had the opportunity to come out and say his piece, or do you feel like the public are willing to hear his side?
Okay, so this is what it is now, and I say this to people, and I'm going to say it on the record now. Artists are not public speakers.
Yeah.
They become them once they get a bit more confident. But artists are just artists. They're creatives. And they're not perfect either. But for him to come out there and me knowing Dutch, knowing his temperament, in hindsight, and knowing his brainwave at that time, he was 26 years old. He's done a lot of jail at that time.
Yeah.
Dutch at 30, he could have come out now and spoke about it and said, yeah, man, that was all the rubbish. But see, at that time, being the goon that he was at that time, and people going, oh, you're a paedophile. And he has to, and then they make him answer questions, this, that, and him having to respond to it. He would have probably wanted to punch someone in the face.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying to you? Because it is such an insult to him. So what people didn't realize, he actually did address it, but the public said it's not good enough. You need to answer this, you need to answer this. And it started going deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And at the time, in my head, I'm just thinking, don't even answer those questions, just put it in the music. But it affected him.
Yeah.
It affected his mental health, it affected his creativity, it really affected him. Do you know what I mean? And he wasn't the same after that, man. You know what I mean? And then something happened to me after that as well. And then the rest is history, you know what I mean? And
how did that affect your relationship with Dutch? That whole situation?
I feel like we got a lot of love for each other now. We're a lot more closer to a degree, but at the same time, he's not trusting nobody no more.
Yeah.
He's more of a person that you don't know who to trust, because remember, it's his closest. That would only happen to you if it was someone else close to you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what it is with him. Like, I speak to him now and then, but we're more like family now. You know what I mean? But does he trust me in music or anybody? I doubt it.
Do you think that incident has left a legacy on his career aspirations, his career, and his ability to achieve success within the music landscape? Or do you think it's something that he could bounce back from? Or
I always say, because he's got an audience, he can always have a career with that audience.
Yeah.
Like we were speaking before, he's got an audience.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he believes that he could be who he thought he was going to be. I pray he does believe that still, but I don't know if he believes that, because people always say to me he was bigger than Central C at that time.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Look at what Central's achieved since.
Well, and the thing is, that mixtape was the throwaway mixtape. You know what I mean? Give them something like a general mixtape to show the versatility. He was gonna drop another one 8-9 months later at the deal, and then we would have come with a super banging project. He was building up all the records for it already, and it was gonna be a world domination project. And then that happened. So with all those plans going down the bin, that people don't know he was gonna be in Top Boy.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, like they wrote a role for him where he was gonna be the brother coming to avenge Dave.
Oh wow.
So he had a big role.
Yeah.
We lost that. You know what I mean? He was in talks with Adidas about him becoming an ambassador for them. Like, had his own clothing line getting built as well. Like, we had so much moves for him. So, you know, like, Me personally, I think not. You can't stop no one in this life. I think he can do it, but it's whether he believes. You know what I mean?
Do you feel like the industry turned its back too quickly on him? Like, you know, you had the situation at Parlophone.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the industry could have done more to protect him, to work with him, especially the label?
That label, Parlophone, they done everything they could. They was brilliant. I don't know if he feels that, but me, being very, very honest, brilliant. Brilliant. Nick Burgess, all of them at that label, they all put their neck on the line. I don't know what people said behind the scenes to each other, but they didn't, like, he dropped at least 4 or 5 records afterwards.
Yeah.
And there was options on the table for him and he didn't take it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So they didn't drop him. But what happened to Dutch, and people ain't gonna like when I say this, but there was a conspiracy against him within the industry. Yeah, that's what I felt.
What makes you feel that?
I think, and I say this to all the rappers that are on top now, don't trick yourself out your position, because the minute you have one grey area, what you're going to see everyone come against you and take you down. Because people in this country believe there's only one position of at the top.
Yeah.
And like he was doing people's numbers that they was doing in a month, in a week and more. So they was more like, we need to stop this, because before he's going to take the market share. And when that happened, like I saw all the people that was, come, let's do something. So now going online and talking about him, dissing him. And I was like, raw, this is a bit crazy, bro. Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, this is like the roads. You know what I mean? It was crazy, brother. But, yeah, man. That's what I saw happen, man. They turned against him, bro.
Wow.
They really did. But it's the game. I think Drake's going through it right now.
He is.
Everyone's turning against him.
Listen, at some point, what's it? Jay-Z says they all want to see you win, and then they can't wait for you to lose.
Yeah, that's what happened with Dutch, boy. I mean, and yeah, but it's the game. But I actually believe talent. He's the best artist I've met. Raw talent. He doesn't write. Yeah. Does not write.
It all comes
all off the dome.
Okay.
Every bar is a separate bar from the previous bar.
Yeah.
Every bar is wrapped to sound like a hook.
Mm.
It's so heartfelt. I've got some records that so heartfelt, and the voice, yeah, man, he amazed me, man. Yeah. My brother said, yeah, this is an artist that I know I could run around for and take to the next level. You know what I mean? Like, everyone believed in him, man. And it's, you know what it is? It's no, like when you see something early, because I saw him so early when I went to his house and he spat for me. And I looked at this boy, and he was about 21 at the time, or 22. And I looked at him and I was like, at the time it was Rimsey that was hot in my ends, and he just went to jail. And I said, like, who can I use to become the biggest artist in the world? Because I wanted to do it with Rimsey, but he went away. And I said to my boy Biggs, I goes, Biggs, who else is there from the ends that we can work with? He's like, Dutch, man. Dutch is cold, man. He's cold, man. He's cold. I was like, yeah? Let me go see Dutch. Went to go see Dutch. I'm like, oh my God, this guy, boy. And then, yeah, man, he went to jail. You know what I mean?
A lot of jail going on.
Bro.
In and around what you're doing.
Yeah.
So that happened with Dutch, and I think it's really good that you've spoken out and cleared that up. So I feel like it hasn't really been out there, and people still talk, and at some point someone has to say something, and it's good that you've been able to do that and clear things up.
Yeah.
But on to the present, you're working with Steph, his sister.
Yeah.
It's like you're part of the London family. You're working with Steph, you're working with Shemara.
They're my family.
You know, what's different about managing artists at that level compared to earlier on in your career? Because Steph is a global star.
Yeah.
You know, Shemara, you know, is both influencer, artist, and has worldwide recognition due to the way that social media is now. What's the difference between what you did early in your career
Yeah.
and what you're doing now with artists like that.
Well, first, I'm not really managing as much as I used to, no. So
Yeah.
with Steph, it was more like, all right, cool, I'm going to come and part of your team and help manage the release of your album and help also make moves happen with you, which we've done. We've done some great moves together. What I realised with Steph is, and real artists, we see once they've built themselves, the person that they built themselves with, it's going to be a much more harder job for the next person to come along and try and navigate that ship, because there was a vision originally, and then it's like you having to come in and either change that vision or help facilitate the old vision and understand the old vision. And if you're a person that's got a vision and like, okay, I can see how we can make this bigger, you've got to now convince that artist this is the new vision to follow. You know what I mean? So with Steph, it was a bit harder than it was with Dutch, because she was very, 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 very accomplished. You know what I mean? And she's another one. She's another one. She's probably one of the best artists I've met as well.
Yeah.
Like raw talent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can do everything.
Yeah.
So I think it's about gaining her trust. And because I'm not really on the management game as much as I used to be, it's like it'll be very hard for someone like me to come in and gain her trust to the point where I can actually implement my new vision for her. But what I can do for her is help facilitate what she wants to do. With who else did you say again? Shemara now is development stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're developing Shemara. And I can't wait what that's gonna become, because she reminds me of her sister.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she's gonna be the new version of what artists are gonna be. So, because I believe in this new era now, you're gonna have your old traditional artists, but you're gonna have artists that are gonna be streamers, podcasters. That there have to be people that know how to build communities in this new realm, because the old ways are not the same no more. So she's gonna be the person that's gonna capitalize off this new way of doing things. So it's not gonna be just solely on music. It's gonna be podcasting, streaming in a girl group with Girlverse, and also putting out own music. And making sure that the music is a soundtrack to how she's feeling and how she's living, and still also being the younger sister of all these great entertainers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's my vision for Shemara with the team that we've got. We got a good team around there right now.
And what's the vision with Steph?
Steph needs to become Rihanna for me.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, Steph.
And what do you mean by that?
Steph needs to make sure that the music is a soundtrack to all the great products that she's going to release to the world and all the great experiences that she's going to give. Do you know what I really want from Steph? I want her to make the most heartfelt album, because she's been through a lot, that girl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's got a lot of jealousy, and people they've got her twisted, because the person that I know and what they say about her is completely different. You know what I mean? She's actually a really beautiful person. And no one's perfect, but beautiful, beautiful person. Yeah, really beautiful person. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So how do you as a partner in a business, someone that's done management, an exec, how do you make sure that the public and the audience are seeing that same beauty that you're seeing?
I don't want to give too much away, but it's gonna come.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna come. It's gonna come in a way where it's gonna be raw, and you're gonna see everything.
Sounds like a reality show. I
don't know. You're gonna see everything with her.
Sounds like reality shows in the works.
Because what it is about Steph, and this is what I say to Steph. I say, Steph, you are the modern woman.
Yeah.
And the modern women are gonna relate so much to you, because the modern woman wants to go back, in my view, from our conversations, to being half a modern woman and half a traditional woman. Because a lot of women are juggling finances, family, being this boss.
Yeah.
And they get to that position sometimes, and they're like, whoa, this ain't what I thought it would be. Do you know what I mean? And I just can't wait for her to show these women, this is what the other side is like.
Yeah.
But I'm actually just like you. I'm from the ends.
It's interesting, because we had Rich Castillo on here, who obviously signed her to her deal at Polydor.
Yeah.
you know, and he commented on what a great artist she is, and how much of a strong businesswoman she was.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, I can't tell you the numbers, but it was big. You know what I mean? And I've always kind of admired that about her, that, you know, she's about her business.
About her business.
Which I think more artists should be.
Yeah.
You know, more artists should see themselves as entrepreneurs, not just creatives. But also, she can bar. Like, she can really, really bar. And then she can flip it and go into the Jamaican twang, and I'm like, go on.
Yep.
You're doing your thing. But obviously, you know, you guys put out the first album.
Yeah.
And it didn't do the commercial numbers that you hoped.
Yeah.
That said, it still did more than 10 million streams.
Yeah.
When a project underperforms in that way, in the way that you anticipated, what do you do to help the artist navigate that moment and to mentally and strategically move on from that?
Speak life into them.
And what does that consist of? What does that look like?
Dopest, don't worry. This is one project. Give them examples of artists that have dropped projects that didn't do well. They've come back and it's gone bang. You know what I mean? Make them know that you love their music. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be standing next to you because of only the reason that your music is amazing. You know what I mean? And I believe in you. You know what I mean? Like, when I speak to Steph, come, let's go studio. Because she doesn't understand. I love watching her in the studio. You know what I mean? I love watching her create.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, and I say to her, they're going to know that you're actually better than everybody. Like, everybody's kind of done their unique specialist thing in the market, but Steph's someone that can go, you're Jamaican artist, I'll jump on a tune with you. Bang, slap it. You're African, I'll jump on, you're Nigerian, I'll jump on an Afrobeat song with you. Bang, slap it. You're a drill rapper, no problem, I'm going to slap it. You're a rapper, real rapper, I'm going to slap it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Garage, pop.
Yeah.
All of it.
And sings.
And sing. You know what I mean? Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, she's dope. It's about she just needs to understand that was just one little blip. And also, there's albums, that have done well later.
Yeah. Well, let's look at Prince.
Okay.
Prince's first album wasn't a commercial success, but he became Prince.
Listen to this. Listen, Kanye album, 808 Heartbreaks. That was the very criticized album at that time.
Yeah.
No one really liked it.
Yeah.
And then that album shaped this new sound that everyone's loving, auto-tune.
Yeah. Which is still doing its thing today.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even though T-Pain started it, but Kanye West made it, all right, he inspired other artists to say, this is acceptable now. Kanye's done it.
Yeah.
He's done a whole album of it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, I just don't... I say this to Steph, I say, and any artist, don't worry about success too much. Obviously, you want to be great. And I understand you, everyone wants to feel like Michael Jackson, how he wants to sell a gazillion albums, and I get that, and that's good. But also focus on quality, consistency. Because, let's be real, nobody knows a hit. You can think something's a hit, and it's not. You don't know. Like, for me, Stormzy's last album was amazing. I love that last album. People say, I don't know. I'm like, what, album's dope? But people, you know what I mean? I'm like, no, the album's dope. It's one of his best albums for me.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? But I believe that's going to grow very, very much later.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So I tell Steph, man, catalogue the answer. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Go get a catalogue and make sure the music's great. Make sure you express how you feel. You know what I mean?
How do you feel about audiences? Because obviously before we started talking about this podcast, we were talking about growing audiences and what that looks like. How important do you feel it is to have an audience and a loyal fan base that are fully engaged as opposed to chasing chart success? Which do you feel is more important for an artist?
The audience. And do you know what it is? You know, we was having that conversation. All you did there is you reminded me of how I started to like certain artists.
Yeah.
Because I remember the times when they used to have street teams. The record companies. That's
why I started, is on the street teams.
Oh, swear down. And then they used to go out, give out samples.
Yeah, the flyers, the mixtapes. Yeah.
And sometimes they used to have these cards, and you say, fill out your name and your address.
Yeah.
And then before you know, I'm getting something in the post.
Yeah.
And I remember them times when I'll get something in the post.
Yeah, a little sampler.
And I was like, oh my God, look what I've got.
Yeah.
And I'll open that CD and I'll read it. Who's this? Who's the producer? And I'm not realizing I'm the audience that you're talking about. You know what I mean? And they turned me into a super fan to the point where I'm giving my life to this game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's the most important thing. You know what I mean? That's the most important thing. The charts, let's look at it. There's a lot of artists, I don't want to name them, that had amazing chart success. And now you look at them and they can walk down the street and no one cares. And there's certain artists that never really had great chart success, but they have such a following that they can go and tour every time they announce it.
Yeah.
Because they got that key audience that they've kept fully engaged.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all these artists I feel need to focus on now, building that audience.
So do you think that's the future? What do you think? Where do you think the music industry is heading? Where do you think the business is going? We're seeing the rise of AI.
Yeah.
We're seeing chart rules changing, all the time. We're seeing the rules around Spotify and streaming changing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think things are going?
I think it's all going into that direction. That's going to affect our children's children. I think that's going to probably dominate to a degree. However, one thing I've realized about music is a voice of the people. It's science, and it's not going nowhere. And the way it's going to evolve for, especially this kind of music that we're involved in, it's going to evolve to a point where they're going to need people like myself to come into the game and partner with the labels and go out there and develop. That's going to be the future. And if the labels don't do it, there's going to be venture capitalist companies or big people with money that's going to come in and say, all right, I want to sell this brand. I want to sell this this product, this food or whatever it is. And I want to use culture to do it. And I think that's going to be the future. And also I feel new artists are going to have to diversify their marketing into like talking more like into like podcasts, streaming, like just keep up to the times, you know what I mean? So I just feel like music's not going to be here forever. AI's going to probably try come in and replace artists. That's not going to work completely.
Yeah.
Because there's a voice of people that need their experience spoken for.
And people still want experiences. They still want to go to shows.
Exactly. They want to go to shows. They want to hear someone speaking about how they feel. And making it very authentic. They want to know that, okay, when you mention this person's name, there's a whole community of people that know who that person is. Like there's too many real life attachments to music that computers can never ever replace in my view. You know what I mean? So AI is gonna come in and have a go, but real people are gonna be here forever. Yeah.
With the way that the industry is evolving and the way you're engaged in social media with Shemara, how do you see that pivoting? Because obviously you've just mentioned artists are going to have to be more than just artists.
Yes.
They're going to have to do more than just sing a song. Write a song. They're going to have to become personalities, essentially. How do you see that evolving? How do you see that new wave coming in? And what do you think that's going to look like?
I think what's going to happen, I'll tell you who was the first of what I'm talking about. The first example, Queen Niger. Remember, she came in as a YouTuber. With her boyfriend. She built a community of following with her relationship, and then I can really sing. Oh my God, you're amazing. Now we're buying into the music. Oh, the music's about that relationship. Boom, gone. That's gonna be the future. Because music's always been about the story.
Yes.
It's always been about the story.
That's why Confessions went diamond, right?
Okay. You know what I mean? 50 Cent. It's always been about the story. But what we're not realizing is reality TV, which was Big Brother, that was one of the first experiments, has now become YouTube. So now it's about mirroring it with the music now. And sometimes you have to, because what people don't realize about hip hop as well is hip hop is story-led.
Storytelling,
You know what I mean? And I'm talking even from a sense of, a lot of rappers, they're either talking about a story that's from a specific area or it's about them. Or a group of people. You know what I mean? And what we're going to see now is artists are going to be building their narrative, their story, through streaming or podcasting or whatever it is, or just even ranting on social media. You know what I mean? And then once that's going on, then the music's going to have a bit more meaning to it.
Yeah.
And then that's what's going to make the music move. So artists are going to become way more reality TV personas than they used to be. Because the word of mouth was the marketing tool back then. But things move so rapid now,
Yeah.
you need social media. So you have to start that conversation yourself.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Makes
that's what
sense.
I can see anyway. That's my...
No, I think you're right. I think you're right in the sense that the narrative is so important.
So important.
So important. I think it's just going to become more and more important as things evolve.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about money
Yes.
and deals.
Yes.
You know, you've kind of diversified the way you've worked from being a manager to doing partnerships and various other activities. What does your business look like now?
Okay.
And how do you kind of structure the way in which that you work with the talent that you work with?
Okay, so now I don't manage. I've got a management company and I've got a group of managers in the company that manage artists that we invest into. I am not interested in managing anybody that's with a major label or with a different company unless we have a partnership within that company. Because of the experience of Dutch, I'm not doing that ever again. And the main reason why I'm not doing that again is because what I saw we did as managers was way more than what managers are doing.
Yeah.
Even my friends in the game, like my conversations behind the scenes with everybody, I say, guys, stop managing people now. Sign them to you and then manage what you're signing, because you're getting, I don't want to say the word ripped off, but you're doing the game a disservice, because what we don't understand in this country is they've got so many companies for the culture that new artists can always keep coming through. Not every year sometimes, but they're coming, they're bubbling, and then there's somebody in that building, because they got that partnership deal, they can sign that and say, okay, I know what this is going to become, and I know exactly what to do with it, and then bang, you're a superstar. So my moves now is every artist that I sign to my label, I'll find them a company to do a deal with. Once I make it, once I show proof of concept. I'm not going to do...
As in the company, as in a major?
Yes, or distributor.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, either one.
Yeah.
Eventually, I would like to see our country become like America, where all the major labels are just basically distributors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think we're heading that way fast.
Yeah, I hope, and I can't wait for that day where, all right, we go to them 50-50 deals. The artist is signed to me, and then my brother and my partners, and then our company's done a deal with the major label. Our shares split with them, and then the artist has their major share.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The artists are getting richer, because what I also believe in is you've got to make the artist rich, but with financial management.
But do you think that artists need to understand or need to see themselves more as creative entrepreneurs? Like I'm constantly banging this drum for artists to see themselves as creative entrepreneurs. I'm always like, the second you put a song up on Spotify, you've monetized that song.
Yes.
Therefore, you're now an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Right? But I feel like artists kind of run away from that.
Yeah.
And the types of deals you're talking about, let's do a 50-50 split. Let's create a company and put your assets in there, your rights and your publishing, your management, another one with your live and your merch and so on. I feel like once you start to have those conversations with artists, they go, oh, but the other artists aren't doing that. I just want a record deal.
Yeah.
But you're going to get jerked in your record deal. Whereas you could have ownership.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's difficult to convince artists to work in that way where they're seeing themselves as creative entrepreneurs, or is it something you find easy?
I'll tell you what's...
Cool, we're wrapping up, but yeah, nice. Bug up the set.
So basically, I'll tell you what I've noticed now. That was relevant 5 years ago. I don't know about now. Since I've come back out into the market again, and the conversations I'm having with artists, they overstand ownership. In fact, they want to own everything. They want to own everything and give you the crumbs. That's what I'm seeing. And I think also that's what's kind of making the marketplace in hip-hop especially decline a bit. Because you're going to own 100% of something small when you could get the right partners in, the right people with the right energy, the right knowledge, and you can own 50% or 40% or 70%, whatever it is. But what the conversation in music, which I'm not really a fan of no more, is everybody's trying to push artists into this form of thinking of own 100%, give your team 5, 10, 15, 20%. But then they don't understand group economics. And I've got a friend, a girl called Sarah, and she's like, Jam, I don't know any business apart from music where people don't want to do equal partnerships. Yeah. She said music is the most selfish business I've ever seen. Yeah. Where artists want to own everything and cry when they have to split something with somebody. So I believe in owning your masters, yes, but have partners in those masters. Because if you get into bed with the right people, the bigger you become. Because this is business. People only put their time into things that are going to make sure that their families are fed. And people want generational wealth. Everyone keeps screaming this word, generational wealth, generational wealth. How do you promote generational wealth when you're saying to me, oh, you can work with me and earn with me for 5 years, and after 5 years, I want it all back to me, and then you go and figure it out. I'm going to be like, all right, cool, no problem. I'll give you 1 or 2% of my time, and there's another 98% of my time going into something that's going to give me generational wealth.
Absolutely.
And this is what people don't understand, what built America. The music industry was built in America. A lot of it was unfair, and I'm not going to lie. A lot of it was unfair. But a lot of powerful people with money and influence saw talent and said, this is something that I can invest in and give 100% of my money and time to, and make sure it connects everywhere, because once this connects, my family's good for the rest of their lives. The only thing they did bad back then, which made it what it is today, the issues that we're having, is a lot of them said, I'm taking 100% of everything and leaving you with crumbs. And that was wrong.
The deals were definitely bad, because that's why artists are,
crying right now and said, oh, I need this, I need that. And that's what was wrong. But I don't think the reason why everyone's so against that now is because of those silly guys that were selfish. But I don't think you need to now completely go to the complete opposite and say, all right, you want to own everything. No, be smart. An artist is a football club. You're going to have shareholders in this football club. And then you're going to have players in this football club. PR people, digital marketing people, all these different positions in this football club. And some of them players, you might sell them, but buy another one. Yeah. But the shareholders of that football club are going to keep investing and growing and making sure that this football club is winning championships. And artists need to look at themselves as football clubs that are going to be a major brand. You're going to sell all the things that make a football club great. Yeah. You know what I'm saying to you? Yeah. And you need the right shareholders that want to make sure that this football club is growing and filling stadiums. Yeah. That's my analogy of how you make sure that they're great. You know what I mean?
Makes sense. Sense.
Drake's the perfect example of it,
In what sense?
Drake's got Prince. He's got Birdman. He's got Lil Wayne. Yeah. He's got all these different business,
different
Universal.
Players. Different
in
partners.
that master. Yeah. Okay, Drake, you're coming in your run. You're good in Houston. Don't worry. I'm going to open the whole world of Houston for you. Yeah. Okay, Drake. Lil Wayne, I'm going to make sure everyone's working with you, because I'm the hottest in the world right now. Because I've got this ownership with you now, my brother, take everything I've got. Now you're Drake. You got the world.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Listen, we could talk for hours and hours and hours on this. It's been a very insightful, interesting conversation. Yeah. You set the record straight on certain things. You've given some real insight. I'm going to ask you one last question. We always kind of do this at the end of our podcast, because it's about being unstoppable, right? So looking back on your journey, looking at all the wins, all the setbacks that you've had, all the lessons that you've learned, what does it mean for you to truly be unstoppable?
It mean for me, lean in with love. Think about the people you love and how to make them proud, and the tribe you're building and your legacy, and you'll know it. You'll always be unstoppable. for me. That's what drives me.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, very unique answer. I love that. Yeah. Listen, thank you again for joining us. Yeah, man. Thank you for being a part of this conversation. We'll probably have to do a part 2 because there's still so much more that we could get into. Yeah, man. I was sitting here like we could do another couple of hours of this. We could. But I think our listeners and our viewers are going to want to go and make a cup of tea or something. Come on. We'll give them that grace. Yeah. But remember, guys, you can catch us on Patreon. You can catch extra footage. You can log in and see all the different interviews that we've done. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the follow button. Make sure you continue to rock with us. We'll be back with another interview. And above all, you can be whatever you want to be in life. Just always remember to be unstoppable. Peace.